Okay, now we're just starting to get into the editing of the video as we prepare our Mandelbulb 3D animation. Now, the first thing I want to do is I want to scrub through the available frames that I have on my timeline, and I want to make sure that I'm okay in terms of the animation. I'm looking for missing frames, I'm looking for glitches, I'm looking for something I may have overlooked in the when I was preparing the keyframes in the Mandelbulb 3D application. So typically what I like to do is to play through the animation. I'll start at the beginning. All I really need to do is to press the space bar to begin the animation, or I can press the play button. So as we can see here, it's very smooth. We're playing at 60 frames per second. It's very smooth. Now keep in mind, of course, that this is a preview. The resolution of this viewer is a preview. That's where we speed up on that long forward flight. All right, and then we come to the end of the forward flight, and then we do a barrel roll, 360. Now keep in mind that I don't have all the subframes because I'm actually preparing this video before all of my frames were completely rendered by Mandelbulb 3D. So we're going to come up on the end right here. All right. Now, so generally, I feel that the animation is okay. The animation is okay. I mean, I have some speed adjustments I want to do. Now, there's a couple things that I want to do with this, and that you probably will want to do yourself. One is I'll want to kind of tweak the colors a little bit. All right, the contrast really isn't quite where I want it. I think that the colors can be a little bit more vibrant, especially the colors down in here. You know, once the shadows are in here, they're kind of baked in. Not a whole lot you can do in the video editor, but I want to make a slight improvement. Now, there's something to keep in mind here, that you definitely want to check out your animation first. If the animation is no good, there's no sense in you moving ahead with coloring or quality concerns. Okay? This animation here is acceptable. I'm going to tweak out some colors. I'm going to improve the contrast a little bit. And then we'll go address the speed issues that we had. Now we'll probably get to the speed in the next session, but all right, let's do this. Now, in DaVinci Resolve, you have what are called pages. Now we happen to be on the edit page. There's a cut page here too. All right, but we're not going to be using that here. So this is the edit page, and that's where you're going to spend most of your time. And it also has what's called a color page. And you can actually do some, I'm sorry, wrong one, color page right here. That's the color page. Since I popped into it, this is called Fusion. This is where you can do some special effects, you can do some animation, you can do masking, a lot of things you can do with it. We're not going to get involved with Fusion in this particular project. So to the color page, okay. Now the color correction page of DaVinci Resolve is probably the best in the industry. We are not getting into depth here. All I want to do is make a couple very subtle changes. Let me point out that it's always better to try to get your coloring close over in the Mandelbulb 3D application and don't rely upon here. The reason I say that is while DaVinci Resolve and other video editors may be quite capable when it comes to color correction, you really want to get to the color and the lighting and get that close in the native environment and where the graphic is being created. That's really the best approach. But I do have some control over the final, and obviously the changes, the modifications I make to coloring will be applied to every single frame that we have on the timeline so far. So let's make a couple little changes here. I've got a number of controls. I got tint. I got contrast. I got some others here. Hue down here. Here's saturation. Here's shadowing, highlights, and I got a color boost. And I can also provide very fine adjustments of various colors. All I really need to do here right now is adjust, say, the contrast. We'll go right here. Now, while I manipulate this, you can see the contrast, or the gamma, is being modified up in the image, okay, up in the preview. All right, I'm going to reset that by double-clicking on the word cont, and I think I can make a slight adjustment or an improvement like right about there. So I took it from 1.000 to 1.166, and that looks good. Now look, I mean, I could scrub along here and I could look elsewhere. All right, so I'm just going to reset my contrast here. That's what I had. All right, and 1.116 is an improvement. Okay, so that contrast was applied to every single frame on my timeline so far. The other thing I want to do is I want to kind of punch up the colors a little bit, not much. All right, I can do that in a couple different ways. I could go to saturation. All right, I could use it there. I could adjust the hues. I could adjust the individual colors. All right, but I just kind of want to punch everything up. So I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to go with, I'm going to try the saturation. We're going to start at 50, watch the preview. All right, there we go. So I'm just going overboard here, but that's 74. All right, so there we go. All right, we started at 50. I'm going to make this 65. Here we go. So that is an improvement. All right, so the colors are deeper. They're more saturated. Okay. All right, while we're here, I also have the ability to adjust shadowing with this control down here. All right, let's go find an interesting shadow situation. Okay, so right in here. Okay, a little after I adjusted my saturation and my contrast, kind of threw these darker areas, the shadow areas, kind of threw them off a little bit. I'm going to go down to the shadow, and I'm going to make a modification. See how the shadows got blacker, darker, deeper? And you can see when I do that, I lose detail in the shadowing area. So I'm going to double click on that, get it back to the normal. And actually, I like that a little bit better. So I've adjusted my shadow from 0, or default, to 11. All right, poke around a little bit here, take a look. All right, okay. Okay, that's not too bad, not too bad. Okay. So I think we're in pretty good shape. I've made some improvements in the coloring. All right, and I can also make some improvements in uh, the sharpness, which I'll do in the next session. I like to apply a little bit of sharpening here. Now keep in mind, you can't see exactly what the final result is going to be because we're looking at a preview here on the screen. So I'm going to go back to the editing page. All right, and I have my color correction has been applied to all of the frames that I have in the timeline so far. All right, we're going to pick this up in the next session. I'll see you there.